Yes, my friends, we have 4 big stories to break down today. Learn the latest news around Kovacic, as it has been revealed he is set to leave us at the end of the season. We discuss Pochettino as we learn his plans for Mason Mount for next season. We have some interesting developments around Victor Osimhen, and we discuss Armando Broja as well too. So right now, my friends, we've got a ton of things to break down, discuss. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. And if you like today's video, you know what to do. Like the video if you feel like liking it, and if you don't, that tells you to work harder for next time. So without wasting any more time, right now, let's get the quick report out of the way first, and let's discuss Armando Broja, because currently he is set to return now for pre-season, which is good news. And already he's undertaking light training sessions at Cobham, and to be honest, his recovery is actually going along a lot better than what was originally expected. Like, he's recovering a lot faster, and at this point in time, he is 5 months into recovery. Now, this pre-season, we're playing against clubs like Wrexham, Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton and Dortmund in the States, and naturally with Pochettino set to become our new manager for next season, Broja wants to impress in pre-season, and he wants to win his spot in the team for next season. Now, in my opinion, I feel like Pochettino could most definitely use a profile like Broja. And we know that Pochettino works wonders with young players, and he helps take their games to the next level. So I feel like if Broja was to impress him in pre-season, who knows what happens. But currently, things are looking quite difficult. I mean, we've got Dacho Fofana. I'd imagine he's set to get a loan move for next season, but who knows what Pochettino might potentially see in him. But with reports suggesting that we're looking at Victor Roque, Hoylands, plus an experienced striker, as well as Nkunku arriving for next season too. Up front is looking incredibly hard to win a spot in right now. And in my opinion, I feel like Broja by far is the most unluckiest player of this season, because this season, you know, we've needed a striker of his profile, a striker that can run the lines, run the channels, that can be a focal point for this team. And for the creativity we have deeper, I felt like guys like Enzo in particular, who wants to play those lofted balls in behinds, he would have loved to play with Broja, you know, for the context of this season, right? So let's see what happens. I felt like he took his goal incredibly well against Wolves. It's a massive shame that he picked up such a nasty injury, so soon after that goal. He's a very talented player, but let's see what happens, because I would not be surprised if we do some interesting things in terms of player sales. And I guess, you know, this probably segues in quite nicely now to the next report, and it is time to discuss Victor Osimhen of Napoli. Currently in Italy, there are some interesting reports coming out around Victor Osimhen. Now, after recently securing the Scudetto for Napoli, becoming a legend in Naples, there's a massive probability that Osimhen is set to leave Napoli at the end of the season, and De Laurentiis actually gave his blessing for Osimhen to leave if we help Napoli win the Scudetto. So he's done that right now, but there's one condition. De Laurentiis prefers to sell Osimhen before their training camp opens again for pre-season during July. So currently there is like a 2-month window now for interested parties to entice Osimhen, and of course match the valuations that Napoli have placed on him. And in terms of those valuations, currently that is around £120 million. And the reason why this figure is so high is because De Laurentiis is expecting a bidding war from clubs currently. Right now, us, Man United, Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain are all heavily interested in signing Osimhen in the summer window. Based on the latest Italian reports, Osimhen's agent in Roberto Calenda has actually been spotted in Paris already, holding discussions with Paris Saint-Germain. Now, this doesn't mean that he is set to sign for Paris Saint-Germain. All this means is that his agent now is working in overdrive to find the right club for his client to sign to. So don't be surprised that more reports come out around us. And you'd like to think that because Osimhen is a Chelsea fan and would love to emulate the career that Drogba set at our football club, that we have an advantage when it comes to signing him right now. And hopefully the signs today point towards the fact that, you know, there could be an easier running to try and sign him. And that's because it seems like Bayern Munich have said, listen, we're not going to sign you for the price. You know, Oliver Kahn came out to express concerns at the valuation. And today as well too, they did emphasize the fact that Matthias Tell is set to remain at Bayern Munich. So I'd imagine he's going to get tons of opportunities for next season. So that leaves us, Man United and Paris Saint-Germain. It does seem like an incredibly high base fee plus add-ons should be enough to secure Osimhen for this window. And to be honest with you, the guy scored 33 goals in 39 games. But it's not just the goals he's scoring, it's the man of the goals he's scoring, because this guy has elite mentality. He's a natural born winner. And I feel like some of his goals can't properly be quantified because Osimhen scores the decisive goal. He scores the match-winning goal. I mean, on the run to Napoli finally lifting the Scudetto, he scored the important goals versus Fiorentina, Udinese in that draw as well too. A last-minute equaliser against AC Milan. He scored the goals in the Champions League to get them into the quarterfinals against Milan. I mean, you can go on. I mean, this guy scores the decisive match-winning goals, or the goals to get his team back in the game. And that tells you everything you need to know about how this guy carries himself in the field, right? He's one of those strikers where it's incredibly hard for defenders to compete against him for the full 90 minutes because Osimhen does not stop. He is looking to run in behind you. He's looking to dart his runs. He's looking to fool you. He can outpace you. He can carry the ball. He can outmuscle you. And in my opinion, this guy is the best aerial striker in the world. I don't think anyone has a better leap than him. And it's not a surprise this guy scored a ridiculous amount of headers this season. And one thing that we have struggled with, for all the crosses we're putting inside the box, we don't really have that clinical guy that can actually get on the end of these crosses with accurate headers. And I feel like, based on his profiles and how he plays, he could easily acclimatise to life in the Premier League. I'm not worried about that. And playing under Pochettino, where I'm not saying like his tactics and ideas are like very similar to Spalletti's, but in terms of like, attacking, high intensity football, possession based as well too, Osimhen has excelled playing a similar different brand of football at Napoli this season. Now, of course, if we're going to raise the funds to try and sign him, we have to sell players, but I'm looking at two players in particular. There are recent reports suggesting that Napoli are expressing interest now in Christian Pulisic, and to be honest with you, we know that he's a plus requirements at this point in time, and at the same time too, Pulisic wants to move on and progress in his career. I feel like a move to Napoli could most definitely work in his favour, and let's not forget that last summer, Napoli tried to make an inquiry to try and sign Armando Broja, only for Broja to decide he wants to remain here, which makes things even more unlucky that he actually got injured during this season. But I don't know, there's nothing behind this. It's fully my thoughts, but if we were to include Pulisic and Broja plus money for Osimhen, could De Laurentiis necessarily turn that down? I mean, we've done something similar before when we signed, Jorginho and Sarri in a double deal all those years back. And let's say that we're including both players for Osimhen. Could that take off maybe 50 million off his valuation? Who knows? But hopefully it does something. But to be honest with you, I'm quite confident that in terms of having money to spend big, we're going to have the funds. We're going to sell key players. We're going to sell big players. We have lots of profitable guys in the squad right now. So I feel like if Pochettino was like, listen, I want Victor, I want this natural winner to lead our attack, I feel like we could have the funds to make something happen here. So let's come back to this place. Let's see how things play out. Share your thoughts and opinions, of course. How do you feel potentially about Osimhen being our number one striker with this summer? So my friends, let's now move on to the third report, and we discuss Mason Mount, because similar to yesterday's report from the Daily Mail discussing N'Golo Kante, it seems like Pochettino has big plans for Mason Mount for next season. And let's discuss the reports today from the Daily Mail. The report states that Pochettino is a big admirer of Mount's ability, his work ethic, and he feels like he complements his philosophy and his tactics. Now, personally, I don't see Mount recreating that Dele Alli role. I think that was a unique role made in the moment based on the context of Spurs this season. But I feel like I could see Mount playing as an 8 in a midfield 3. And I'm hoping that's the case, to be honest with you. Because as I've been saying, Pochettino believes in possession, attacking football, high intensity, pressing his opponents from the front. And I feel like this squad has a lot of players that complement playing that style of football. And I feel like Mason Mount complements this the most, to be honest with you. And I feel like Mount gets a bad rep. I feel like because he has been used in so many different positions, playing closer to the goal, I feel like people have expected him to be this like Odegaard in the team, like this creative force who's supposed to be a lot more skillful than what he actually is. But I feel like, people don't necessarily give Mount full credit. I feel like for me, his best role that defines every aspect of his game is playing deeper in midfield. And for me, it's for a multitude of reasons. Number one, the guy can stretch the field with his passes. I mean, he has incredible passing range. We know his cross-field passes, we know what he can do, but for me, most importantly, I think that Mount really affects the second phase of the game. In that sense, what I mean by that is that he helps push the team further forwards. He can play those penetrating, line-breaking passes to take guys out from the team. He can speed up the play of attacks as well too. He has an engine. He can help you win that midfield battle. And on top of that, this guy has excellent shooting technique. If he's taking shots outside the box, most times it's accurate and it's testing the goalkeeper. And don't even get me started on this guy's set piece delivery. I feel like last season when people were taking his set pieces for granted, trying to downplay his creativity because a set piece isn't as good as a through ball in open play. Let's not pretend that we could have benefited from a set piece specialist this season. I feel like for all the danger we've created from set pieces, most times there's not enough continuity, there's no consistency because the delivery from everyone has not been consistently great. So in that sense, having Mount in like a supportive role, which is important for a team game, I feel like he could really complement some of the star-studded attacking players we're going to see. I feel like your Nkunku's, your Enzo's, many of these guys can benefit from playing alongside him. And for me, Mount easily complements the way that Pochettino wants to play. So if this implies that Pochettino has given his seal of approval for Mason Mount, I guess this also implies that he should be finding a contract agreement pretty soon. But I think right now, at the same time, now that Mount is 24 years old, the next 4 years now is absolutely key because we're going to see if he can finally reach his, world-class potential and become that key player in his prime right now. But I think the only way for him to really get there is to start having some more consistency in the role he's playing in and consistency in our tactical ideas. So that's the third report out of the way. Let's now end things by discussing one of the big stories today, and we discuss Mateo Kovacic. Now this evening, The Guardian released these reports, and the club have accepted that Kova is set to leave us at the end of the season. Now I guess I'm not surprised that Kova is set to leave. I mean, he hasn't been offered a new contract. He has 1 year left on his existing deal. So basically this means that this opportunity is the prime time to receive big money for Kova's sale. Now currently Man City, Bayern Munich and Man United are all interested in trying to secure his services, and going to Man City, they see him as a potential Gundogan replacement. But Man City are still hoping to tie Gundogan down to a new deal, so let's see what happens here. But Barcelona are hoping, of course, to entice Gundogan to sign for them. So there could be like a transfer merry-go-round happening. We'll find out. But going back now to Bayern Munich, I feel like if there was one club, in my opinion, again, there's nothing supporting this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mateo felt like going to Bavaria to link up again with Thomas Tuchel, because I think, Kova played his best football under Tuchel, and I think that Tuchel needs to have like a pivot specialist in his Bayern team, especially when it comes to having someone receiving balls from the centre-backs to help push Bayern up the field. I feel like Kova has always been world-class in his team's defensive half, but I feel like when it comes to translating that world-class ability into the opponent's half, it's not the same. And I think that Kova excels in, ball carrying, ball progression. He's got good tactical intelligence as well too, and he helps relieve pressure. And I think that with Thomas Tuchel's ideas of, having opposition teams come onto the pivot to try and open up the spaces out wide, Kova makes a lot of sense for them. And for me, the fact that so many big clubs are currently after Kova, hopefully this means that we see a bidding war for Kova in the summer. And knowing how desperately that Bayern needs to sign a pivot enforcer, hopefully this means that we can get big money for Kova if he does go. Now when it comes to cutting the squad down for pre-season now, it's not about selling guys who aren't good enough. I feel like all the guys we possess in their own way are good enough to get first team football and to play for us, but it's about having complementary profiles now in the team. And for me, I feel like Kova excels playing more possession-based, a slower paced game. And under Pochettino, we want to play more in the opponent's half. We want to have more intensity. We want to run a bit more. And I kind of feel like maybe Kova isn't necessarily needed as much for this new style of football that's coming soon. Now that Jorginho's gone, it only makes sense now that Mateo Kovacic will be the next one to leave. So my friends, share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about the stories? Let us all know. Are you going to be upset that Mateo is set to leave? Let us know why. And on that note, I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.